One of the joys of being a parish priest that I get to preside at weddings, and another joy also is that I journey with a couple through their preparation, preparing them for the big day, but also the blessings of their life together. And at the time of recording, I'm joyfully preparing two couples for that such thing. And the words of the marriage service speak of a lifelong commitment to the other person. In marriage, their relationship changes profoundly. The life of a single person is over, and the words, all that I am, I give to you, and all that I have, I share with you, make a profound difference to their future life together. The fact that everything that the one person has is now the other's didn't go down too well with one prospective groom who, reflecting on his massive collection of Lord of the Rings figures which are kept in his loft, was rather reluctant that this would now be the property of his future wife. Actually, in this instance, his fiancée was very happy, saying, "You can keep them." That said, there will be something in the old single life that will have died. Some things that will have to be let go as they begin a new life together. And this, my dear friends, brothers and sisters, is an example of what I want to call the secret of life. In our gospel reading set for this fifth Sunday of Lent, we hear the words from Jesus in John 12:24. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. This is the secret to life. It's the pattern of loss and renewal that runs throughout our lives and our world. Even if you've never thought of this as the secret to life, you've lived and experienced it, sometimes by choice and other times by chance. Either way, it's there. It's there in marriage, as we've just heard. It's there in parenting. It's there in nature. You can see it in the changing of the seasons, falling leaves and frost, then new flowers in spring, and the setting and the rising of the sun. Think about the stories we hear in the Bible of loss and renewal. Abraham left his country so that he might be made a great nation and be a blessing to all the families of the earth. Jacob lost his old identity and was wounded so that he could become a new man, Israel, with a new life. James and John left their father, their boats and their nets to become disciples of Jesus and fishers of people. It's everywhere. It's a pattern of loss and renewal, dying and rising, letting go and getting back, leaving and returning. As we journey towards Easter Day, we here are preparing a number in our church who will be baptised. This is the pattern which is at the core of our baptism, and it's what we declare every Sunday at the Eucharist. Christ has died. Christ is risen. Christ will come again. So, reflecting on this pattern of loss and renewal, what in your life do you need to let go of today? What might you need to leave behind? What needs to die so that something new can arise? The gospel for today is set in the context of the Passover feast. We remember what that's about, don't we? The Passover, the celebration of the Israelites' liberation from bondage in Egypt. It's about freedom and new life. It's about letting go, leaving behind and moving into a new way of life. There is something about this pattern that is in the lens through which we see Jesus. Some Greeks come to Philip, don't they, and say, "Sir, we wish to see Jesus." I don't know why they want to see Jesus, but I can have a guess. Jesus turned water into wine. He cleansed the temple. He healed the son of the royal official. He healed the paralytic. He fed 5,000 with a few loaves of bread and a couple of fish, he walked on water. He gave sight to a man born blind. He raised Lazarus from the dead. Sir, we wish to see Jesus. Me too. That's the Jesus I want to see. But dying is more than just physical death. We die 1,000 deaths throughout our lifetime. The loss of a loved one, a relationship, health, opportunities, a dream, all deaths we didn't want or ask for. And other times we choose our losses and our deaths. We give up parts of ourselves for another. We change our beliefs and values so that we can be more authentically ourselves. And sometimes there are things we need to let go of, things we cling to that deny us the fullness of life we want and that God offers. Fear, anger or resentment, regret and disappointment, guilt, the need to be right, approval. Seeing Jesus isn't a spectator sport, it is a way to be followed, a truth to be embodied, a life to be lived. It's being a grain of wheat that falls into the ground and dies so that it might bear much fruit. That's where we see him. It's the letting go, the emptying, the leaving behind, the dying that makes space for new life to arise. You've probably had at least one time in your life that when you look back on it, you say, I never want to go through that again. It's been 5 years to the day since we lost our 17-year-old niece to the ravages of knife crime, an innocent victim of a broken world. And I could ask the question, what good can come of her death? Where possibly could there be renewal in this situation? Well, the community, her college, the local authority all came together in a show of love and affection and defiance. But more than that, organisations she was involved with and some new ones created since her death, galvanised around the issue of knife crime, particularly aimed at young people. I'm now involved in a project locally going into schools, sharing the story and teaching a better way of life. Even in the untimely death of a young person, new hope emerges, new life emerges. Part of me still holds on to her. I've worn this purple wristband in her memory since her death. Part of me wishes things could be different, that we could somehow go back. Maybe, just maybe, that's the grain of wheat that needs to fall into the earth. That doesn't mean I don't want her back or that I would not undo what has happened if I could. It just means that I need to trust Jesus' promise of new life more than my wishful thinking. And sometimes that's really hard. You know that as well as I do. Letting go, however, doesn't mean rejection or walking away, and it does not mean choosing absence over presence. Instead, letting go is what allows us to be more authentically present to ourselves and one another. It makes room for new life and new ways of being present to arise. Our letting go gives God something with which to work with. This is the soul-troubling secret to life. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. So, brothers and sisters, friends, what is the grain of wheat in your life today that needs to fall into the earth and die? What are the things that if you lost them, you are sure you would just die? Maybe those are the very places waiting to bear much fruit in your life. Maybe that's where you'll see Jesus.